So people should
Yeah.
have a view. Of course, we will talk about listening post and SHB. So welcome, Janki. Let me begin with welcoming you to our platform called Sagacity. And as you know, it's a platform where we invite people who um, who have taken up this job to create awareness around mental health at you know so it's a great pleasure to have you with us, Janki. And without wasting a lot of time, let's just begin with why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Namrata, and thanks for creating this platform, Sagacity. From what I have understood from what you have told me, it's a platform for anybody working for a cause and in the mental health space and healing space. So
Yes.
lovely to have platforms like this. And like we said, we are SHV standing for Sati Haath Badana. The whole
Yes.
idea is it is a collaborative space. So we'd love to collaborate with people who can give us platforms where we can talk about our cause. And when we talk about our cause and we create awareness, we are working together. And that's how that was the reason why we called it Sati Haath Badana in the first place, because we realized the challenge is so huge and it really is not dependent on like one person or two people or even 10 people to work on this. This needs a complete societal involvement. In that sense, the way we look at it, this is how a sustainable societies will live, that you will have volunteers from within the society, you will have people within the society who will have problems to talk about, and it can be offered free because there will be other people in the society who will fund it, who may not have the time to devote to be a volunteer, and who may not have problems but understand that this is a cause worth supporting. And so it takes three or four and all of us to tango together to work on a cause like mental health, because there is no defining what is mental health and what is not really. So it is an infinite set of issues. Each person may have a different set of issues, and again there is no one solution either. And
So,
we are,
Janki,
yeah.
so
Sorry, yeah.
when people say mental health, okay, so what do you think mental health is? So so for people to identify that I am having some mental health issues, what must one look at so that they can identify? And only when they identify, when they're aware of something like that, that I am going through some mental condition or I'm not feeling up to the mark, what parameters one must judge oneself to know that now I need help?
See, mental health in medical terms is defined differently, and mental health, the way we use it, is any stress that is caused to you by any event, person, feelings that you are going through, events that are happening in your life that is causing you stress, that is depriving you from happiness, let's say. So if you are unable to feel happy, if there's something stressing you, either it's a single event or it's a series of events, and you are experiencing emotions that are not making you happy, or they're making you stressed, or there is high anxiety, all these are mental issues for you to look at. Whether you need professional help or not is another issue. And if there are mental illnesses, and we call those as mental illnesses, and those need professional help, like you need a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist. The way we are looking at mental health is a holistic approach. If there is something that's preventing me from being happy today, I need to look and see what is it and how can I tackle it.
So
And we think
basically,
that each person goes through a different set of issues at different points of time.
we are saying mental health is not necessarily mental illness, right? So
Yes.
anything that is making you
Mental health includes mental illness.
okay, but mental illness usually would need a professional help or like a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist for you to
Correct.
go and visit. Whereas mental health could be any situation in your life that is keeping you unhappy. it's for a prolonged period of time, and that's where you should ideally feel that, okay, yes, I need to seek help. I need to go and speak to someone to figure out what's happening with me. Is that correct?
Yeah, it may not be a prolonged period. It could just be something that triggered off something else that has been happening in your life, and you may not even have noticed it. So for it to have become a prolonged period is when you start observing that this is bothering you, but there could be issues that is bothering you which you are not even aware of, and something just triggers, say, rage or whatever. And at that point of time, maybe that is when you come to know that, yeah, maybe something has been bothering you. So
So you
it
are
is
saying like,
anything that bothers you. Sorry.
so Janki, you're saying rage is one parameter that one can understand. Okay, I've been getting really upset or angry. What other things do you think, what kind of symptoms one must feel for the, because usually I come across people who say, ये तो होता ही रहता है, you know, we get upset. So उसमें, why should we go and talk to people, or why should we go and seek help?
When you feel these kind of extreme emotions, I'm not just saying rage. Okay, rage is one, but if you are distressed, if you are avoiding company, okay, if you want to isolate yourself, I mean, these are also indicators, right? So indicators would be anything. It could be feelings, or it could be socially awkward behavior. It could be anything that you are not wanting to progress. It could be retarding something that you want to do, or it could be impairing your relationships with other people. All of these are stress points. कि okay, ठीक है, मेरे को मम्मी से बात करनी है, but every time I talk to my mother, I'm so stressed. Okay, so then you have to repair that relationship, because there is some issue there that's blocking, and you have to. It is very difficult for us to sometimes identify these. And talking to another person helps, and another unconnected person especially helps, because then you get a reflection space, and which is what we call listening, because through the process of listening first, what we are helping is helping you listen to yourself. If I am having this blockage in talking to this person, what is it within me that is getting triggered? And why is it getting triggered? What is it that maybe I've experienced in the past, or something the person has said, or maybe I'm not in a good space, or maybe the other person is not in a good space, whatever it is, right? And you need to be able to have the tools, the vocabulary to be able to unravel it and figure out how to progress that relationship. Whether you want to repair it, whether you want to stay away from it, whichever.
Okay, so once someone identifies, okay, that I have some mental issues and I need to resolve this, where does SHB or listening post come into picture then? So tell us more about what is Sati Hat Badana and what is this initiative called Listening Post under Sati Hat Badana?
So listening post is the starting point. In fact, before we set up the company called Sati Hat Badana, we started listening post, and we were at that point not even sure whether listening post is all that we will do, or we will do more. And soon, I think within 4-5 months, we realized we needed to do other things in a community engagement space. And therefore, we realized we needed an umbrella organization, and we created Sati Hat Padana, under which listening post is one of the programs. But when we started it 8 years back, we started only with listening. In fact, next week we celebrate 8 years of listening post, and we set up SHB only in September. So Feb is when we started listening post, and the company was formed only in September. The idea being we were entering a new space, and we were not sure how it would go. I was running a bookstore prior to starting SHB, and often we would have people who would walk in to buy a book, is what we thought, but invariably it will just be a long conversation, and they'll go out without buying a book. And often the girls and boys, we had students working in Christian Dales, and they would say, I think they're just coming and you are becoming their listening post. I think you just need to put a board outside saying this is where listening post is. That is how listening post was born, really.
Amazing.
My students in Twisted Tales named it Listening Post, and so we said, okay, when there was time when I closed down the bookstore, I said, okay, what I'm going to miss is not the business of the books, but I'm going to miss this community. And this was something that Twisted Tales was serving as a community space. And
That's beautiful.
even if I'm not in the book business, I think the community space needs to stay. So we just transformed ourselves from a bookstore to Listening Post. Really, that's how it happened. That's the
So tell us,
evolution of how it happened.
so tell us what is listening post? So people just come and talk to you anonymously without any strings attached.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. It is a safe space. It's a completely anonymous space. I mean, if somebody comes that we happen to know, nothing really in that conversation gets out of that room. Initially, it was only a walk-in space. Now it's a call helpline also. But the idea being, sometimes that I am struggling with an issue and I may not have somebody at home to talk to about that issue, or I feel maybe they're being judgmental, or maybe they won't understand, or I don't have colleagues, or I don't have friends, or I feel नहीं इनको किसी को समझ में नहीं आएगा, ये मेरा problem है, and struggling with that problem for long gets me to a level of, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, because, and then I start feeling crippled that I cannot act. That's the time, that's the space people normally walk into Listening Post. And in fact, most of the walk-ins initially used to be, we had put a board outside saying this is Listening Post and anybody can walk in. So people will just walk in and ask us more about the board. ये आपने ये Listening Post लिखा है, ये क्या है, right? And just like you asked. So people will walk in and ask. And we used to say, अच्छा ये confidential space है, safe space है. अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है आपका तो आप हमारे वॉलंटियर्स ट्रेंड हैं, उनसे आप बात कर सकते हैं, आपको अपनी नाम बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, no need to give your phone number, right? And then they say, once they have actually tested you out, in the sense they have understood what you are, then they'll say, हाँ actually मेरा भी एक प्रॉब्लम है, क्या मैं बैठ के बात कर सकता हूँ, so that's how they are also very gingerly coming in and wanting to understand what the space is about. And then they talk about that issue, and we run it as a completely free service, because currently if it is like, if I have to walk into a psychologist's cabin or a therapist's cabin and take an appointment and go, I might never go, right? And I will probably never seek help for that stress that I'm going through. But if it is on my way to the market, I'm buying groceries and there's this place which says Listening Post, ठीक है, जाके देख तो लेते हैं, क्या करेंगे, it's free anyway, right? So then people walk in, understand what we are about, and then start talking. And then we grow with, word of mouth references. People have had good experiences. They have come repeated for different problems also. They've referred other family members or friends. So that's how it takes off.
So what inspired you, Janki, to walk on this path? So people who are joining me right now, let me just say that we are talking about Listening Post, an initiative under SHB, which is run by Janki, who's the founder. It's an absolutely free service where people can just go and open their hearts out and absolutely anonymously express whatever issues they're going through, and be rest assured that they'll be listened to. Right. So, Janki, what inspired you to start such a beautiful initiative? I know that it happened accidentally, or rather, it just got evolved into something else from your twist and tales. I wouldn't say accidentally; it's a wrong word. I'm sorry, I take it back. But what inspired you to go this way?
See, I mean, as I'm basically a social sciences person. I come from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So when I look at, typically sociologically, when you look at how society evolves, and as we have evolved, we have become modernized. And in those days, maybe in our parents, grandparents' time, there were joint families, there were many numbers of people within the family. Somebody or the other you will find that you can talk to. or
Yes.
in your village, in the Chowpal, you'll find somebody, neighbor's son, daughter, whoever, somebody your age, who will understand. Today, we don't know who our neighbors are, right? I mean, we live in a society where sometimes we meet them in the lift and say, oh, this guy lives in my building. Oh, I didn't know. Okay. So we're going through that. So we are losing connection with the external world, and we are into small families. So then, all the more reason when we are stressed, this is a new world that we are living in, we really do not have people to talk to.
Yes.
And that is a phenomena that, like abroad, you have society which has evolved, but they also have safe spaces. Schools have counseling centers, colleges have support
Yes.
centers, the church or the religion, the faith provides you some kind of a support system. Otherwise, there are state-sponsored support systems. We have become modernized in the sense we have become friendly with technology and with gadgets, but we have not modernized in a societal sense that we are able to support each other uh, with compassion. I mean, we are still in a very competitive phase in our lives, right? So if I'm going to say something to my friend and I feel she's going to manipulate that information to get one up on me, so then I'm
Yes.
not comfortable sharing it with her. So we are not currently in that space where we can freely and without fear of being judged or without fear of that information being manipulated, we are able to talk to people even within the family, right?
Yes.
So there is always that reservation, and we are never able to completely open up. And this, I'm sure all of us have felt at some point of time. And increasingly, as we see that, as we get dependent on gadgets and social media, isolation is a huge thing. Loneliness is the next epidemic. And
Yes.
if society has evolved differently, then you need such services to happen. And if those are gaps in the society, we need to be filling those gaps somewhere, right? And I mean, it was from a perceived need, self-felt need as well. And I used to feel that, yeah, that's why people were walking into twists and tales. And yeah, talking about the book, but then talking a little more beyond the book also. So through those conversations, I realized, yes, that space was very important. A community space, a small, approachable space, an intimate space where you can have conversations, but at the same time feel confident that what's inside is staying there and not stepping out.
So tell me, Janki, since the topic is listening for better mental health. What what do you mean by mental health? We've already explored. Why is mental health important? I mean, why do you think people should take care of their mental health?
When I say listening, and it's basically self-awareness, right? For each of us, we need to know who we are, what drives us, what motivates us, what makes us sad, and often in the noise that is created in our minds, we are often not listening even to ourselves.
Yes.
And then that's the first step. And then we are not listening to others around us. We are hearing them all right, and that noise is getting created all right. But if I want to discuss with somebody, I want 100% attention while I'm saying that. And we have lost that ability.
Yes.
And listening as a competence is an important ingredient in relationships. And in whatever work we do, if we are able to bring our full mind to it, mind and body to it, we are able to do a greater job of it, right? And before that comes listening to oneself. Okay, if I've said something harsh, rude, or nice, I have to look within me and say, okay, what made me do that? Was there some emotion that went with it? Was it some past incident, event? Did she say something to me the last time that we interacted that I now reacted this way? And we are not pausing in our lives, right? We are not providing time for reflection. We are not pausing We are in this great highway to nowhere. So the need to pause, the need to listen to our own thoughts and feelings and understand who we are and what drives us. And also then from there comes the need to listen to other people. If somebody is there and they don't have somebody who can listen to them completely, yes, there is a service. Come and talk about your issues. We are not going to give you a solution. The way we use listening, the process of listening, it's not an advisory service. We respect you for who you are. We respect the issues that you are going through. We may ask you a few questions to be able to understand you better or to understand your issue better. And we are asking you questions sometimes just to help you reflect. The same process that we are doing, we are wanting you to be able to do it. Because again, we believe that each person is completely competent to find his or own solution. We are not sitting here to give solution. We are not counselors. But
So,
sorry.
So if we are not giving them advices, we are not helping them find. We are not giving them answers. All we are doing is listening to them, right?
Yeah.
What is listening according to you? I mean, we see in our lives that husband and wife go through issues, parents and kids go through issues. And I've heard this many times that listen to the partner, listen to your child. What do you mean? We are listening. Are we not listening? Are we all not listening to what's being said? But what do you think listening is? And how listening helps in the mental health of people who come to listening?
See, listening, the way we call listening, it's a very active process. We call it active listening, right? And it, first of all, the person who's come to talk to you in listening post, for example, there is respect for that person because one, the person has taken tremendous courage to walk in and come to talk about that issue, and he or she is obviously has done a first 2-3 steps to understand that he needs help and therefore he should walk in, right? And then, so it starts with respect and it starts with gratitude. Thank you for coming in, right? And then it is a full 100% attention to what he is saying or what she is trying to say. And the listening process is exploratory in the sense we may ask you a question or two so that we understand what you are saying well. So we may paraphrase, we may help you reflect, and we may ask you, okay, so this is what you're saying. Is this what you're saying? No, this is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. You have misunderstood me. Okay, so we are trying to get to exactly what he's saying. And sometimes they are not saying some things, but we may ask them. So, okay, so this is what you're saying. Why do you feel you said it? Are you hurt? So we are trying to explore the feelings. Did you get very angry when she said that? Or what is it that, so we are trying as best, or is it just frustration, you know, or you feel, was it impulsive? Was it thought through? Right? And the questions are non-threatening. We are not trying to judge you. We are not trying to say, oh, why did you do this? It is so impulsive. You shouldn't have been so impulsive. No, that's not what we're trying to do, right? So we are trying to listen, to seek to understand that person's behavior or the event or what happened or why they are here today, right? So always our listening in normal life becomes like a listening to respond. You are saying something, okay, I have to respond to you. So the mind has already started working on the response rather than finishing listening to you. Whereas here there is no response initially. There is only listening, and we call it deep listening. So there is total understanding, and the person reflects from within. We are giving this person space by asking these questions. So, no, actually it was not like this, but now that you're asking me this, I feel, yeah, maybe it could have been that also. So maybe the person had not seen that perspective, but because he is talking to us now, we are able to see some other perspectives. And by asking him or her that question, they are able to see those other perspectives. So it is just facilitation for that person to listen better to themselves and listen to their feelings and their emotions, not just the events, not just the words. What exploring from within for themselves, and we are only facilitating that process. That's the way we define our listening process.
True. So, so you're saying deep listening is the foundation of listening post, where the questions are non-threatening, they're non-judgmental. So it allows a person to explore oneself with a new perspective, with a new point of view, and understand his or her own feelings, isn't it?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then so that they figure out a way on their own, because this is not an advisory service.
Absolutely, because each person knows their situation best, right? I mean, if somebody is come to talk about his or her parent, for example, I don't know the parent. And I don't know what kind of relationship this person has had with the parent and what will work, what will not work. And our job is not that. That person has the capacity to work out those, those details. We are only helping him or her understand where he is and how he thinks he can go forward.
So, so we are talking about two listening to one, our own thought, as well as listening to the partner or the person in your life, right? So we are
Yes.
talking about, so listening post is a service that, of course, the person who's under distress comes and visits you and, tries to figure out a way on their own. Would you have an
Yeah.
advice for people in their daily lives how to be more attentive in listening?
I didn't hear the second part. In our daily life, with how?
How to be a more attentive listener.
Yes, it's self-awareness. Like I said, listening to oneself, because self-awareness is key, right? Because otherwise, those issues themselves become blockages to listening when you're listening to others. If I am of the opinion that heteronormative is the way to be, and somebody who is walking in with, let's say, an LGBT issue, I have already judged him before he has opened his mouth, right? So I need to know where I come from and what my thoughts, beliefs are, and rest them so that when I am a listening post volunteer on that day, I don't have any of these interfering with my listening, because otherwise the moment he has walked in, I've already, prejudiced myself to genuine, authentic listening. And I don't want those. So first of all is self-awareness for each person. Before you can become a good listener to another person, be self-aware, know who you are, stay grounded, allow for pauses in your life, allow for reflection, allow for different self-care practices, right? I mean, whether you use a reflective practice or a gratitude journal or whatever, or somebody does yoga, somebody uses Vedanta. So each person identifies, finds that need and space to pause, think where they are in life, and you do that, you get yourself calm, right? And you learn how to handle, you will know your anxieties as well. You know how to calm, what are your triggers. And once you have, it's a process, right? And when all of us are struggling to get there, right? Nobody is perfect, including all our listening post volunteers, including all of us, right? So I can be an excellent listener one day, and the next day I might come to work with something else on my mind. But my job, if I'm trained and if I'm a good professional, is to make sure I leave it outside the room before I enter for listening post, so that then we can give 100% to the person who is walking in.
True. Absolutely. So we've already covered that how listening can help one's mental health.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and that's how I would like to end this conversation today. But I would like to open it up for some more questions to the people who have joined us and patiently waiting. So, if anyone has a question, they can put it on the chat window, and Janki would be more than happy. We would be more than happy to answer those questions.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Janki is running a service called Listening Post where people can just walk in. She has trained volunteers who are willing to listen to you in a very safe environment, in a very non judgmental way. And it's not an advisory service, so you can just go there, pour your heart out, and be rest assured that you will figure out a way on your own.
Also, since the last 2 years, ever since COVID started,
Yes?
we also have a phone service. So it's a national helpline, and the helpline is available every evening from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So right now, as I'm doing this, our helpline is operational. So I can say the number here, and
Yes.
so we are getting calls from all over India now for the last 2 years since we have started the national helpline. So if you dial 937-333-9162 between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock any evening, irrespective of Saturday, Sunday, Diwali, Christmas, Sankranti, we are working 365 days, and we do get calls from all over the country. So that's something that Listening Post on call has happened since the first lockdown. So now we do both. Since the second wave has finished, since November, we have restarted our walk-ins. Our calls are available on a daily basis for those who cannot walk in.
Let me tell you, Janki, this is a brilliant service, and I have known about this for a few years now through Monica, and
Yes.
I have recommended and a lot of people who find it very difficult to open up to this service, and they all have come back to me saying that they felt so light and so relieved after having spoken to one of your volunteers. It's a brilliant service, and I highly
Thank
recommend
you.
anyone who's going through any kind of a mm, any kind of a block in life, you just go and just talk, because I personally have experienced that when you begin to talk, there's a lot of clarity that seeps in, not only for yourself, but also for the people around you. And that just kind of untangles a lot of issues that we have been dealing with. And thank you so much for joining us, Janki. I don't see there are any questions. However, if we do get approached by anyone for any further details, we'll be guiding them to you and to the listening post.
Sure.
Your number, listening post number, I've taken down 937-333-9162, right?
Absolutely. And
So I'll be
people can
posting.
check out our website. It's called satihatbadana.org. So all the details are on the website. And we have many other programs, but Listening Post is the starting point for all those programs. So yeah, whoever's free and interested, please check out the website.
Awesome. So I'll be posting these details and I'll be tagging everyone. So this video is going to remain with us for a week, so people can always come back and have a look at it. If there are any questions, we'll direct them to you, Janki. Thank you so much for being with us. It was such a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Namrata, and thank you for all of you who are watching. This is a platform that we appreciate because we want Listening Post and other helplines. There are a couple now, but people should know that there is no stigma in asking for support, and it is so stigmatized in our country that if you are weak, you ask for support, but actually it takes a lot of courage to ask for support. So please, if you are struggling with whatever issue, Listening Post is like a GP. We don't have all the solutions, but we can then tell you, yes, you need healing, yes, you need therapy, yes, you need to see a psychiatrist. No, this is common for somebody your age and you will go through it. I'm sure you can sort it out and find a solution yourself. So yeah, all approaches are available with Listening Post.
I agree. There's a lot of stigma attached to seeking help because we've just been conditioned to know that once you show the weak part of yourself, then you are considered weak you're labeled as weak, and
Right.
that's what basically stops a lot of people from opening up. There is a lot of conditioning that has happened, and I'm so happy that you're helping break this conditioning and helping people actually discover who they truly are.
Absolutely. That's the whole. I mean, find your authentic self and life will be happy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us, Janki, and hope to have many more sessions with you on many more mental related issues that people face nowadays.
Thanks a lot. Thanks,
Thank you.
Namrata. Yeah,
Bye.
see you. Bye.